The Loop Squared Meat Company is now open to the public, following a December 6th ribbon cutting. This meat processing facility and retail space was built utilizing CARES Act funding and addresses some of the food insecurity issues associated with the COVID pandemic. On hand at the event was USDA General Counsel and Chickasaw citizen Janie Hipp.
When COVID happened in those early months, I can tell you that I was not with USDA yet, but I was getting phone calls every single day from tribal leadership all over the country because the supply chain started feeling rigid and having breaks here and there. And food kept coming, but it was not as smooth, if you will. And I remember vividly getting multiple calls from tribal leaders as well as tribal producers all over the country saying, I cannot find a processing plant that can take my animals until 2023. And that's a very vivid thing for a producer because, you know, it implies that they've either got to kill the animal right then if it's ready, or they've got to feed it out for a longer period of time, all of which is not their plan. It was not their plan. And when you have a lack of significant components of a food system that include a processing and further processing plants like this one, then the producer has no options. And the communities have no options either. And what we saw, or what I was getting word from all over the country, particularly in rural areas, is that, you know, where a lot of Indian country is and our tribal lands are, I was getting calls from folks who were saying there's no meat, there is no protein in our small little grocery store that feeds our little community or our little region around our community. And there is no solution for that other than to strengthen the food system. And so when you take a step like the Mvskoke Nation did to build this plant, then you are filling that gap. And that actually did happen. If you actually look at the language of the bills that came out of Congress around immediately in COVID and then post-COVID, they all talk about, or a lot of them talk about, food security. Because it is one of those critical pieces that weaves a community together to allow them to be resilient in the face of something like COVID. And so, how do I say this? We don't think about our food system until it's not there for us. And getting out in front of that issue is, to me, what this plan is all about. When we see the rigidity, and what we saw actually pre-COVID was little by little, rural areas have been losing their processing capacity. Or somebody who's had a small plant actually retires and nobody is there to take it up. But what happens when that occurs over and over and over again is if you're a rancher, you end up having to haul your animals farther and farther away to get time at a plant that's open. And I know of producers in this region who've had to haul their animals all the way into Missouri or all the way into Colorado. So this is real. Native people have significant livestock interests across the country, not just here in Oklahoma, but all over the country. And so really examining, you know, can we do this? Do we want to do this? Do we think it's important? What I'm hearing from tribal leaders all over the country is yes, yes, and yes. This is important. This is a component that a lot of people overlook in food sovereignty and in food security, but it is critical. And to be able to actually then couple it the way the Mvskoke Nation has and have a test kitchen that actually allows people who do fruit and vegetables, maybe don't raise livestock, but they can do value added in that test kitchen and get it ready for sale. That's a huge job maker over time for a lot of other people who maybe don't raise animals, but they raise fruits and vegetables and just need a market, need to get something to a higher price point than just the raw fruits and vegetables. Lots of opportunities there. And then if you actually walk through that facility, you'll see those coolers that have a lot of other fresh foods in there. So the way the nation has actually coupled all of those things together is really inspiring to me. I can't wait to tell other people to come and visit.
The facility was also the subject of a lawsuit filed by residents of the nearby town of Winchester. This suit claims that the construction of the plant violates the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act, and alleges that wastewater from the facility contaminates the underlying groundwater. Mvskoke Media asked Ms. Hipp about the concerns listed in the suit.
The reality is that plants like this you have to go talk to the EPA. You have to go talk to the Food Safety and Inspection Service before you can even open the doors. I've actually helped stand up several plants. Those are initial conversations that start even before you break ground, and then maintain all the way through to opening, and then keep on going. So I just know what it is to actually stand up and run a plant, and you are constantly talking and interfacing with the environmental folks as well as the food safety and inspection folks. It can't be done without it. And so I hope that deals with people's fears about it, but a lot of that is just it's not real, because you can't get inspection in these plants unless you actually do that. It's important that all plants, no matter whether they intend to just sell within a state, have some degree of inspection. You have to. You're dealing with people's lives and you're dealing with food safety. But the state of Oklahoma has a food safety inspection program, but so does the federal government. Some states actually stand back and let the federal government literally just handle the inspection piece for their state. Some states have their own inspection service infrastructure, if you will. But being inspected at the federal level allows a greater magnitude of your potential markets. For instance, some plants really should only, it depends on the state law, basically, and the federal law, but some plants actually only sell within a state. It's called intra-state inspection, but some plants that achieve interstate inspection allows them to ship the product across state lines and even export. It is a Herculean effort to build a plant like this, top to bottom, soup to nuts, A to Z, in the amount of time they did. And to actually do it well enough that you have achieved all inspections. It can be done. And tribal governments are showing that it can be done over and over and over again. I'm so excited about it, but that's really an important piece of the puzzle is, who can really actually just get in there and make it happen. And the Mvskoke Nation did. And we should all be proud of that and celebrate it. And the ranchers, I can assure you, in this area are ecstatic that they have another option available to them, because most ranchers really don't want to have to haul their live animals multiple, hundreds of miles away. It's just not good for the animal. It's not good for the whole infrastructure. But it's just amazing. And the other piece of this puzzle is the care that the government took to actually have fresh food and protein available to people so they could come in and buy it. It's so good. It's so good that they've coupled that with actually making it available locally.
The Loop Squared Meat Company is located just south of the Duck Creek Casino on Highway 75, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.